Welcome to The Explainer. What if I told you that true success really isn't about having insane luck, raw talent, or some off-the-charts IQ? When we actually look at some of the world's most successful people, I'm talking billionaire founders, best-selling authors, you name it, a lot of them actually started with way fewer advantages than you might think. They definitely didn't have some magical head start in life.
So, that brings us to the elephant in the room. What exactly is their secret, right? If it's not just innate brilliance or a massive inheritance, what is the actual engine driving all these extraordinary achievements?
Okay, let's dive into this. There's this huge, pervasive myth out there that success requires extreme luck, incredible natural talent, or just genius-level intelligence. But the reality? It all comes down to simple, incredibly consistent habits. Most people kind of know about them, but very, very few actually apply them. Today, we're breaking down the 5 specific habits that separate the absolute elite from everyone else. And hey, stick with me here, because habit number 5 is going to completely change the way you think about your own path to success.
All right, let's kick things off with habit number 1, start before you feel ready. Look, most people totally paralyze themselves just waiting around for the perfect moment. Think about it. Launching a new business, switching career paths, or packing up and moving to a new city. There is literally always going to be uncertainty. The average person hesitates, right? They wait for the fear to completely subside, which honestly just turns into permanent inaction. But successful individuals, they get that you just have to launch, like a rocket, even when it's absolutely terrifying.
Consider this really profound quote from the source material we analyzed. You'll never feel 100% ready. Just let that sink in for a second. If you sit around waiting until every single doubt vanishes and the stars align perfectly before you take a step, you are going to be waiting forever, for sure.
The absolutely crucial point here is that action creates confidence, not the other way around. Most people wait for motivation to just magically strike like lightning before doing the hard work. But high achievers, they do the exact opposite. They take the leap, they start messy, and they figure out how to improve later. That initial friction is the exact spark you need to build real confidence.
So, moving right along, let's look at our second foundational principle. Habit 2, protect your valuable time.
Now, time is literally the single most finite resource we have. Just think about the number 24. This is the ultimate equalizer, guys. Every single person on Earth, regardless of their background or bank account, gets the exact same 24 hours in a day. Yet with those exact same hours, some people build empires while others just feel completely stuck. Why? Because successful people treat those 24 hours as their absolute most prized asset.
And this brilliantly illustrates a simple rule. Every yes to one thing is a no to something else. Successful people are fiercely intentional with their schedules. They ruthlessly limit distractions and actively avoid that endless doom scrolling we all kind of fall victim to sometimes, right? Every single time you say yes to a distraction, you're actively saying no to your goals.
So, I actually want to challenge you directly for a second. Where did your last 3 hours go? Be really honest with yourself. Did they go towards building your future? Or did they just slip away into a void of temporary distractions and, funny cat videos? Your honest answer might reveal exactly why you aren't where you want to be right now.
Let's transition over to habit number 3, commit to lifelong learning.
You see, the most successful people out there are basically relentless, lifelong students. They know a fundamental truth. The exact moment you stop learning, you immediately stop growing. And generally speaking, your income is a direct reflection of the value your upgraded skills bring to the marketplace. The more valuable your skills become through continuous learning, the more financial rewards you inevitably create. We live in this absolutely incredible era where almost all the knowledge you need to succeed is already freely available on the internet. But there's a catch. Are you consuming content to actually grow, or are you just consuming content to pass the time? Are you reading books and taking courses to feed your mind, or are you just distracting yourself with background noise? Honestly, your consumption diet totally dictates your future.
Okay, moving right along, we arrive at habit number 4, expect and embrace failure. Now, this is a really tough one for a lot of folks, but it is absolutely vital. Every wildly successful entrepreneur, world-class athlete, and creator has failed way more times than most people are even willing to try. It requires a massive psychological shift. The average person intensely fears failure, but the successful person, they expect it. They don't view it as the opposite of success. They know it's a completely necessary part of the actual process. Let's move to see how this builds mechanically, because failure actually serves as a direct stepping stone.
Think of it like a cycle. First, you have the failure. Then, that failure provides invaluable feedback. You take that feedback, which leads directly to improvement. And then, that improvement is what finally yields the results you've been chasing. It's just a continuous, highly productive cycle.
The crucial takeaway here is this: one failure doesn't define you. Giving up does. The people who eventually reach those massive, life-changing goals aren't the ones who casually breeze down some perfectly clear path. Nope. They are simply the ones who adamantly refuse to quit the second they hit a hurdle.
And here we are. We've reached the highly anticipated final habit. Habit number 5. Take full life responsibility. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that taking complete responsibility is the overarching mindset required to make absolutely everything else we've talked about today actually work. Life certainly isn't always fair. It just isn't. But successful people, they stop blaming their boss, their upbringing, or the broader economy. Instead, they focus entirely on the controllables: their actions, their attitude, their effort, and their choices. And why is that so profoundly important? Because ownership equals the power to change. The very moment you step up and take total ownership of your circumstances, you are immediately given the power to redirect them. And I promise you, that kind of internal power is worth infinitely more than any quick fix or external shortcut you could ever try to find.
All right, let's jump into the conclusion. Start building your habits.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to internalize an encouraging truth here. Absolutely none of the behaviors we discussed today require any special inborn talent. Let's do a quick recap. 1. Start before you feel perfectly ready. 2. Protect your time like your life depends on it. 3. Commit to lifelong learning. 4. Embrace failure as a stepping stone. And 5. Take complete, unwavering responsibility for your life. Literally anyone can develop these exact habits through consistent practice.
So the question isn't whether these habits work. History and data prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they do. The real question I want to leave you with is this: which habit will you start practicing today? Take a second right now, pick just one to start with, and hey, I invite you to share your choice in the comments below. Take immediate action on your personal growth, and I'll catch you next time.